Sometimes making one small adjustment can lead to a world of difference. Like for breakfast, instead of having a Tide Pod, try having an apple or a banana. It'll make a huge difference, I promise. And the same can be said of the minor scale. So today, we're going to talk about the minor scale and its modes and how we can maybe riff with it and how you can really hear the difference by doing this little riff exercise. So what we're going to do, this is going to be in E minor, okay? I'm going to kind of skip, if you want to learn more about the modes, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll link you to some other videos. But basically, the minor scale sounds like this. Okay? And it has two other modes that go with it. One of them is called the Dorian mode, which is the same thing, but the sixth note is up a semitone. And the other one is Phrygian, which is the same thing, but it has a flat 2. So, okay? So we're going to talk about the difference on one note, okay? So the way that we can really hear this is to establish a tonal center of E. So I'm going to be kind of just hitting this open E string, the low E string, a lot. So we're going to have this open E and the 7th fret on the A string, which is an E. So that's our root note. And to really make sure to establish the minorness of these riffs, we're going to hit the minor 3rd, which is the 10th fret on the A string, and the minor 7th, which is the 5th fret on the A string. Okay, so these three notes are going to be present in all of the examples we're going to do. So it's a very minor kind of sounding riff or whatever. You can do whatever you want with these. But really, the thing that makes them different, the things that makes them special is what's going to make these stand out. So, if we wanted to talk about the Dorian mode, all we have to do is slip in that note right there, which happens to be a C sharp, okay? So a C sharp on the A string is going to be the 4th fret. So if we want more of a Dorian sound, we can just incorporate this 4th fret, but make sure that we still get that minor 3rd and the root note in there. Okay, so that kind of has a much different sound. There's a little bit of like a dissonance going on there, and that's kind of indicative of the Dorian mode. And I think that's maybe like a better, just kind of smaller example instead of using that C sharp. You can still do that if you want to incorporate this note in here. Right, and then we're kind of skipping strings. But for the most part, we're going to stay on just the A string as far as switching the notes in this scale or mode, okay? So, again, that would be the Dorian one. If we wanted to do kind of Phrygian, which Phrygian is really like the Tide Pod of modes, because that is really, what's nastier than that? Bad for your system. Don't ingest the minor second interval at any cost. So really kind of hammering that root note, its Phrygian note, minor 3rd, and the minor 7 really kind of gives a very, kind of a dark Phrygian sounding thing. And then combining it with that E string, you really kind of get those intervals rubbing up against each other in different ways that, I think is a good example of how it really sounds. Now, what we haven't really talked about is the locrian mode, which isn't, technically a minor mode, but it really almost is. So all that means is it's the same thing, but it also has a flat 5. So if we were to play the locrian shape on E, it would be, okay? So it doesn't have a 5 to kind of give it that, true minor triad sound, but it's even nastier than that because it also has, in addition to that minor second, it has a flat 5, okay? So this would be like, chasing a Tide Pod with like some dry cleaner sheets or something of that nature, I suppose. All right, so you really can't ground it like an E minor can be grounded with its 5. And that's kind of like a good thing to think about is like just how having a root note and its 5th grounds a chord like a power chord, right? As soon as you take away the relationship, there's really no resolve. It's just like pure dissonance. So, you know, if you want to really write dark stuff, start incorporating maybe Phrygian and Locrian kind of riffs into what you're doing. And really just kind of, you know, mix and match them off of the same root note. Now, again, if you watch like the mode videos and stuff, you'll know that in any major scale, all of these modes exist, but off of different root notes. So it's kind of hard to maybe get the tonal center of all those, because in E minor, there would be different notes that would have it. Like that would be A Dorian, because those are all just kind of like different ways to cycle through the same scale. So I think this is a good example of maybe kind of hearing the difference between all the different modes. So definitely, you know, if you're interested in those, we've got a bunch of videos on modes with friends. I go through all of them. Check those out. And if you have any comments or questions, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you all soon.